Hello everyone, it's Toni. Now a little while back, a viewer of mine sent me a link to a video of a woman making flowers with coffee filters. Now I was really excited about this because the flowers came out beautiful. They came out looking a little bit like this. She made this really beautiful flower ball, and she used coffee filters and a little bit of paint, and it was really quick and easy. So I want to show you how I made my own version using her method, and I'll leave a link to her video up here and in the information tab below so you can see how she did it. But I created this, and I want to show you how to create a few other quick versions of coffee filter flowers. Now these are roses that I created, and if you look online, there are lots of videos that show you how to make realistic roses using coffee filters, but you have to cut out patterns and put the pieces together. And if you're doing a wedding or event, that will take you a little bit of time to do. So I want to show you my own version that's quick and easy to create these beautiful realistic flowers. So let's go make this. To start, let's make the first version that we saw in the video. She used coffee filters, and I got a set of these at Dollar Tree. And for paint, she used an acrylic paint. But I'm using this little paint set that I picked up from Dollar Tree. I'm filling a large bowl with water, and with the paint I'm going to brush in a little bit of red and yellow to make a blush color. And here I'm just dipping the paintbrush into the paint and mixing it into the really diluted water. I'm also going to add a little bit of white, so I want a nice blush color. And you want to mix that up till it's nice and smooth and there's no clumps of paint floating in the water. Next, you can take a stack of coffee filters and just dip it in the water and let it soak for a few minutes. If you were doing all one color, you could put the whole pack in at once, but I want to try different colors and different paints, so I'm just going to do a few at a time. After a few minutes, take it out and squeeze out the excess water. Next, I'm going to mix on a little palette red, yellow, and white to make a darker blush color. Because what she did in the video was paint the edges of the coffee filters with a darker version of that color. And I'm doing the same process with a few different colors. I'm going to try green and yellow. And since you used acrylic paint, I want to try my metallic acrylic paint and see how that turns out. I'm going to mix blue and red and make a purple. Now since these are metallic colors, they should have a little bit of a sparkle. But we'll be able to compare the flowers when they're finished. Now I'm going to put all of these on an old cookie sheet and make sure none of them overlap. I'm going to place these in the oven at 300 degrees Fahrenheit for a half an hour to an hour, depending on how thick the stack is. After they come out of the oven, you're going to stack 2 sheets, fold them in half, and then fold them in half again. I'm folding a bunch of these for each color, and also put in a little bit of hot glue right in the bottom corner of the fold. For my first flower ball, I folded about 6 of each color. Next, you're going to take each piece and hold it by the point, and you're going to go through and pull out each layer and just crunch it up. Then you can twist the back point and go back and fluff the flower out and sort of arrange it the way you want. It's going to make something that looks like a carnation type flower. As for the different paints, there wasn't that much of a difference. The method was the same, so the effect pretty much came out the same, except the metallic paint, there was a tiny bit of a sparkle on the edges that you could see if you look closely. Now I want to put all of these pieces together to make a big flower ball. For that, in the video, she used a paper lantern, a round paper lantern, but what I'm going to do is just glue 2 styrofoam bowls together. And I'm just going to put some hot glue on the tips and glue each piece onto the styrofoam. Now she used all the same color, but since I made different colors, I want to alternate each color as I put them down. And after you glue all the flowers around the styrofoam, you'll have a nice big beautiful flower ball made quick and easy with scrunched up coffee filter paper. And you can finish it off by tying a pretty bow around it. Now with the same batch of sheets that I just painted, I'm gonna make a different type of flower. I'm gonna make some little tea roses. I'm gonna take one sheet this time and fold it in half and fold it in half again, just like I did with the other one. Then you can use your fingers for this, but I'm gonna use some tweezers, and I'm gonna grab the inside layer of the right side of the piece, and I'm grabbing it a little bit to the right of the center, and I'm going to twist counterclockwise as I twist the bottom part of the piece. So I'm twisting it around to make like a little cone shape, and as you can see, it already looks like a little rose. Now I'm going to take my fingers and just open up the inside a little bit by untwisting it a little, and then I'm going to start from the outside and just go around and sort of flip the layers over to open them a little bit so they look a little more like roses. And then I'm just going to hot glue that flap closed right at the top. And then I'll have a bunch of little tea roses. While I was at Dollar Tree, I picked up this little 3-pack of baseballs, and I'm going to use this as a base for my tea roses. So there's another quick but beautiful flower using a few folds and no cutting. Now for my final flower, I'm going to make a more realistic rose, and for this I'm using food coloring instead of paint. Because this will take a tiny bit of cutting, I'm going to take 6 coffee filter sheets at a time, and I'm going to fold them in half, fold it in half again, and then fold one more time. I'm using 6 sheets because anything more would be too thick to cut. So now I'm going to cut a petal shape at the top of the coffee filters, and then I'm going to open that back up. Now in my bowl of water, I'm going to put a few drops of red food coloring. Next, I will soak my sheets of cut coffee filters. And when I take those wet sheets out, I'm going to also paint the edges of these, but I'm going to paint the edges with the undiluted food coloring. And since the dye has a tendency to bleed, I'm going to go around and blot the edges, and it's going to give me a nice gradation that goes from dark to the center of the flower. So I use the food colors to do yellow and purple and green also. Just make sure you don't overlap these on the cookie sheet because they will bleed together. Now while these are in the oven baking and drying, I'm going to cut out some leaf shapes with the rest of the coffee filters. And I'm going to dye some leaves since I have the dye out already. On the styrofoam plate, I mixed a dark green with green, yellow, and a little bit of red, using the undiluted food coloring. And after baking to dry the leaves, I get varying shades of a natural green. Before I make my realistic roses, I'm going to make a few leaves and add them to my flower ball. So to make this leaf a little more realistic, I'm going to give it a few veins. I'm going to fold it in half, and then I'm going to do sort of an accordion fold going upward. So I'm going to bend the leaf at an angle upward, and then bend it again so that all the folds are going at an upward angle. Then I'm going to open it up and curl down the tip, and it'll have a nice little leaf shape. It will be a little more dimensional and have the appearance of veins. So I'm going to hot glue a few of the leaves in between the tea roses of my flower ball just to give it a more natural look. Okay, so now on to our realistic rose. For this, I'm going to use 3 sheets of the cut, dyed, and dried coffee filter paper. I'm going to rotate all 3 sheets so that the petals don't line up evenly. I'm going to fold that in half and then fold it in half again. And I'm using basically the same method that I use for the quick tea rose flowers. I'm going to grab the 2 inside pieces on the right side rather than one, and I'm going to twist and turn the bottom as I turn the top with some tweezers and just rotate it like a cone shape, and then gently pull those tweezers out, and then I'm going to go around and turn down the petals on each piece. Then I'm going to put a little hot glue on the edge that's sticking out just to close the rose up. And with just one little petal shaped cut, you'll have a beautiful, realistic, delicate rose. Now, if you want to add a stem to your rose, you can pick up some plant sticks. I got this from Michael's. I also got some floral tape. I'm just going to go through some of the outside petals and poke the stick all the way down and through the bottom hole and bring it all the way down so that there's a little bit of the stick inside the rose. Then I'm going to wrap some floral tape around the bottom part of the flower. You could use regular tape to attach the flower to the stick, because the floral tape is not very sticky, it's just tacky. But when you're wrapping the floral tape, you want to pull it and stretch it around the stem. Now, roses have these short little skinny leaves all around the base of the head of the flower. So I'm going to take one of my leaves and just cut little strips in them, and I'm going to sort of rotate that around the base of the flower. I will need to cut these a little shorter. And then I'm going to wrap some floral tape around that and stretch it and pull it around the stem of the flower. Next, I'm going to attach a few leaves with my floral tape. Since the floral tape is not very sticky, you could use regular tape to attach it and then cover it up with the floral tape. Or if you want the stems to be flexible, you could use wire for the stems. I'm using a soft wire tie. To insert this stem, I'm going to cut the bottom part of the rose to have an opening, since there's no point on this wire. I'm going to secure the rose to the stem with some Scotch tape. Now this time I actually cut the floral tape to make the little leaves that go at the bottom of the rose, and I'm going to pull and wrap the floral tape all the way down the whole stem of the flower to cover up that light green. Then you can add some leaves and you'll have a flexible stem that you can adjust in your arrangement. Now this same viewer asked me how to add a stem to the flower ball that she's going to be making for her wedding. Before you attach the flowers, I would just put a plant stake into the middle of the styrofoam And put a little hot glue around the stake to keep the stake in place. Or if you want the balls to hang from the side of the vase, you could use the soft wire and just hot glue the wire in between the two styrofoam bowls, and then add your flowers around it. For this display, I used the two balls with the wires and hung them right directly over the lip, and then I filled the vase with glass marbles to hide the wire stems inside. Then I stuck the flower ball with the plant stake right into the marbles. And there you have it, a few quick, inexpensive ways to make some beautiful flowers for your wedding or event. Follow me on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and Snapchat at Your House of Home and Your House of Home TV for daily home, food, and gardening tips.